Okay. Hello to everyone. First of all, thank you, Chan Fashi, for this detailed introduction. And thank you for inviting me here to speak today. And also thank to Joyce for inviting me as well as a director and someone who takes care of the things here at the chapter. So I'm very happy to be with all of you here. We just completed the 7-day retreat in Vancouver Center, and some of you here were on that retreat. So it's nice to see you again. And just before coming here for lunch and for this talk, Changwu Fashi and William Winston, sorry, I'm not good with remembering names. They were taking me around to the lake, which is really beautiful. And even yesterday, I was quite surprised actually with the beauty of nature here. So after visiting the lake, which is really beautiful, we came here and Changwu Fashi showed me the center, and she also shared the vision of development of the center with me. And I think that you have a really very good place here, really good place. And you know, the centers like this one and our other centers around United States and elsewhere are very important, because they gather us all around that which we all consider very important, something which we all share, and that's our path of Chan. So having a center like this, it is extremely important. This is a place where we come and we practice, and we have all the support for our practice in a center. And by coming, we support other people as well, and that is really something which, without having a center, without having people who are taking care of center and teaching, that's not possible. So I think sometimes we take things for granted. So it is good to remind ourselves how precious these things are. How precious it is to have a place where we can all gather together, doing something which is for our benefit and for benefit of other people as well. So I didn't really know that I chose the topic for Seattle, the one which actually you thought it would be good to have. So I'm very happy for that. And if I'm correct, the title of the topic is Advice for Physical and Spiritual Well-being for Chan practitioners. Okay. It's actually a huge topic. It covers everything. So I will just say a few words, and let me start with the concept of well-being. In Buddhism, I think there is a different understanding of what a well-being really means from how it is understood outside the teaching. And I think that in order to understand what well-being really means, we have to see two things. First is that concept or view, deeply rooted view about us existing somehow separately from whatever is around us in Buddhism is considered a wrong view. It's a kind of illusion, but in the same time it is a cause of all human disasters and all human suffering in the world. So the Buddhism holds completely opposite view, and that is that we don't exist separately, that we exist deeply interconnected with everything which is around us, with each other, but also with the nature of which we are part. You know, we are part of the nature. We are not really separate from the nature. So, from the Buddhist perspective, well-being is understood as a holistic idea. You know, it's a holistic idea. It can't be seen only in relation to our physical body or only in relation even to our mind only. You know, it's understanding of well-being actually includes many things, because as I said at the beginning, you know, the Buddhism sees us as interconnected with everything. So our well-being can't be really separated from everything. It has to include somehow everything. So what is it that it includes? It includes ourselves, but it includes our social relations, and it includes nature as well, our environment. So these are like three spheres, if I can say so, on basis of which we can actually develop our well-being. And well-being is, on the other hand, expression of harmony. You know, maybe harmony is a very good word to define what the well-being means. It's a kind of harmony which we have with ourselves, and then it is a harmony which we have in relation to other people, our social relations, harmony in our social relations. And the third is a harmony with the nature. Okay, so if you think about these three spheres, it will be easy to see why there is no harmony, why there is no harmony in the world. Okay, it's not easy. First of all, it's not easy to create inner harmony inside ourselves, and then we all know how difficult it is to establish harmony with other people, whether close ones or people with whom we work, or outer circles, so called. You know, so it's very difficult to establish a harmony with the other people. And what to say about the harmony with the nature? You know, we brought ourselves to the very edge of existence, if I can say so. You know, by being careless towards the nature, by ignoring the nature. Basically, this anthropocentric view is responsible for our relationship with the nature. The view in which the man is considered to be the master and the one who has to subdue the nature to serve him. And with such a view, we actually did enormous damage damage to the nature. This is I would say this is like a general Buddhist view about the meaning of well-being and and our relations to our interconnectedness with everything which is around us. In Chan, we have also, I can say, model of wholeness. And model of wholeness in Chan is, in my opinion, what we call three aspects of our practice. And these three aspects of our practice is body, breath, and mind. Okay, so these are actually three aspects of our being. And meaning of practice in this context is related actually to bringing in harmony these three. Bringing in harmony body, bringing in harmony our breath and our mind. So this is, we can see that this concept of three aspects of practice contains actually everything I mentioned already before. It includes ourselves, our mind and body. It includes our social relations as well, and includes nature. Because when we know how body is understood in a Buddhist context and in the Chan as well, when we know how mind is understood, then we know that actually these three or these two, mind and body, we can say, to make it simple, actually includes everything. Actually includes everything. So let me start with the body. So in Buddhism, very often body is seen as a result of our past karma. So our bodies are somehow a result of our past karma on the one hand. On the other hand, our bodies are manifestation of our mind as well. And for that reason, body is considered to be very, very precious. And seeing it as a very precious, we have to take good care of it. We have to take good care of it. But if we want to take good care of the body, we have to understand the body more closely. And in Buddhism, body is seen as consisted of 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. So what we have to know is that these 4 elements, or 4 great elements as they are called, are the elements of which the whole universe consists. And these elements another thing which you have to understand is that these elements are actually symbols. So the earth is symbol of solidity or stability. Water is symbol of fluidity. Fire is symbol of change, the processes which are going on, maturation. And air is symbol of mobility. And these elements, so we share these elements with nature. And there is a constant exchange between elements in nature and our elements. Actually, we just borrow those elements for a while, as long as we are alive. And there was never really separation. The moment we separate our elements from the elements of nature, that's the moment when we actually are dying. If we stop taking food, if we stop taking air, if there is no warmth which we need, that's a fire element. If there is no air, so we can't really survive. So this is understanding of the body in relation to what it consists of, elements. But we can look at these elements through another kind of symbolism, and that is, for example, we can think of element earth as hardness, but also endurance. We can see element water as flexibility. I'm talking now about qualities of the body. Okay, we can see water element as flexibility. We can see fire element as strength. And we can see air element as mobility, but also balance. Okay, and according to Buddhism, when these elements are not in harmony, when they are not in balance, then illness appears. Okay, so in order to be healthy, in order to having a body which is fully functioning, these elements has to be in balance. All right. So, what can we do to maintain that balance? Because another thing which we have to understand is that this balance is of dynamic nature. You can't really bring the body in balance and hoping that body will stay in balance. Body is changing continuously, and therefore this balance is of a dynamic nature. We have to continually put effort in maintaining the body in a state which is harmonious, in a state in which there is a harmony between those elements. Okay, so why I mentioned this another symbolism, which emphasizes the physical quality of the body, like endurance, like flexibility, like strength, like mobility, balance, and so on, because it is easier to see how we can bring the body in balance in relation to these qualities than in relation to elements as such. Okay? And how we can bring the body in balance? We can do that by maintaining these qualities in a proper proportion. Okay? And of course we can do that by being actively engaged in usually it's good to choose some of the disciplines which are specialized in that. That could be yoga, that could be Tai Chi, that could be any kind of martial arts, which is not oriented towards the sport and competition and so on, but which deals more with the concept of harmony and developing harmony. Okay, so through those activities, we can very actively work on creating the internal physical harmony in our bodies. But it's not just that. You know, it doesn't mean that everyone has to practice those things in order to bring the body into harmony. You know, in Chan we have a also concept which is related to these three aspects of bringing the body, breath, and mind in harmony, and it is actually extension of that concept, and it's called 5 harmonies. And what is considered very important in taking care of our body is first the food we take. It's very important that the food we are taking is natural, is healthy food. Then it is also important that we don't eat too much. Usually 80%, once you eat, for example, it's good always to leave 20% empty, your stomach. And the moment, it's interesting, you know, because it's very much related to our ability to be aware of the body. How can we know that there is a 20% left empty once we are eating? That's interesting. We can know by being very conscious or aware of our body when we are eating, and if we do that, there is a moment in which our stomach for the first time starts to expand, and that can be sensed actually. It is that moment precisely when we have to stop eating, because I know that's difficult, but you know, that moment is the moment when we have satisfied our needs, really, and everything which is above that, everything which continues, is related to you know, we like the taste of food we are eating, so we enjoy ourselves, we continue to enjoy ourselves, and then we fill our stomach, you know, completely, and that's not very healthy, that's not very good. So it is important to be very mindful when we are eating. So about what kind of food we are eating, whether we are eating mindfully or not mindfully, how much we will eat, and also the time when we are eating. It is not recommended that we eat late in a day, you know, before we go to sleep. So these are just the things I'm sure everybody knows, and all of you are aware of it very much. But anyway, this 20% leaving the stomach empty, I think it's important to that we remind ourselves on that. And you know that in a Buddhist monastic tradition, For example, in southern Buddhist schools, they had a rule not to eat after lunch, after midday. So they had only 2 meals a day, not 3 meals a day, and that was considered one of the main factor of maintaining healthy bodies. You know, this period of not eating from the noon up to the next day in the morning, it's kind of fasting. You know, through this period was considered cause actually of good health of the monastics. The tradition changed with Buddhism coming to China because the way the monastics were providing for their life changed. They, instead of begging the food, which was not a tradition accepted in the Chinese culture, they started to work themselves, and therefore they introduced the evening meal, which is called medicine meal, precisely for the reason because they spend much more energy into work. They needed some energy back, so that third meal was needed for that reason, but they kept it very, very small, and therefore it's called medicine meal. Okay. Another thing is a drink, which is also important. It's important what we drink, and of course the best drink is water, but tea is okay too. All right, so well, the second thing, which is also part of taking care of our body, is of course sleep. You know, the sleep is really necessary, and we all need rest during the night. And when we are thinking about that time we spend in sleeping, it's good to know that it's not good to sleep, to have too little sleep. That's not beneficial. That's not good. In the same way as it is not good to sleep too much. You know, so these are like extremes, but we are all different, and we have to experiment and to see what is best for us. How long should we sleep? And sleep is necessary, of course, because it's the time to renew our energy, you know. And if we are not sleeping or having a bad sleep, then we will be tired, and we enter this loop, if I can call it so, of tiredness, and that influences our mind a great deal. So sleeping is also important to maintaining the healthy body. And the third thing is actually activities. And there we should be aware of necessity actually to rest. You know, nowadays people work very much, and they even suffer from this, how it is called, burnout, you know, on their work. And work is usually very stressful, and all these conditions are definitely something which are not beneficial for our health and our bodies. So for that reason, we have to work hard, but also we have to take time to rest. That is very, very important. And in relation to that, I would add also relaxation. We should relax our bodies as much as possible, and in all various conditions, whenever you realize that your body becomes tense, relax it. You can do it in a workplace, you can do it at home, you can do it when you are walking outside, in all places and at all times. Once we become aware that our bodies are tense, we simply relax them. That will be very, very beneficial for health of our bodies and minds as well. Okay, and related to activities is actually also those disciplines are mentioned earlier. It's good to join the people who practice either Tai Chi or some form of martial arts with a contemplative nature, I would like to say, and or yoga. That's very beneficial because originally these disciplines were much more connected with the spirituality, with the meditation practice than they are nowadays. Okay, but having our own tradition of spirituality, having our practice, and knowing what meditation is, even if somebody is not teaching those disciplines as a meditative, contemplative practices, we can turn them into that. We can turn them into meditation in movement. And in that sense, we are having like double benefits. Benefits for the body and benefits for the mind as well. Okay? So that is, I think that's very important. And well, yes, beside everything what I said about the body and the harmony between the elements, between those qualities of the body which we can somehow bring into balance and maintaining our health, we have to understand that body is impermanent. We have to understand that we are getting older and that our bodies are subject to change, to old age, subject to disease, and in the end we have to die. The body has to die. Okay, so being concerned exclusively with the bodies, working very hard to liberate our bodies is very limited if we know the other side, from the perspective of other side, that's very limited. We can't succeed in that. We can't succeed in that. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take care of the body. That doesn't mean that we should maintain our health as much as possible. But the nature of the body is such that we will necessarily experience illness, we will experience pain, we will experience suffering. We all already have. We all already have that experience. So I don't need to emphasize that especially, But despite all of that, we should do everything what is in our power to take a good care of our bodies, and that's the meaning of physical well-being. That's the meaning of physical well-being. In Buddhism, Buddhism doesn't separate body and mind. As I said earlier, in Buddhism we are seeing them as being interconnected. But nevertheless, the emphasis is on the mind. Emphasis is on the mind, precisely for the reason I just mentioned. So we have to see that our bodies are really precious. They are the means for liberation, we can say so. That's their highest purpose, which our bodies have. And in that sense, we have to keep them healthy, keep them in balance, do everything we can. But ultimately, we should be concerned more with the state or the quality of our mind states. That is of primal importance, actually. And how can I say? Our mental well-being depends actually on our thoughts. It depends on what we think or what kind of thoughts we are thinking. Because these thoughts are creating mental states. And mental states, depending on whether they are beneficial or unbeneficial, influence, of course, our mind and our bodies as well. Okay, so what it really means is that our happiness depends on the states of our mind. And the good thing is that we can actually, that we have the power, to change the unbeneficial mental states into beneficial one. We have the power to control what is it that we are thinking. Okay, we can have a power over our thoughts, and that is a very important part of practice. You know, it is considered the right effort. We talk in this retreat about it. And briefly, right effort is recognizing unbeneficial mental states and letting go of them, recognizing beneficial mental states and developing them, making them present more and more. So this is how we move from the mental states which lead us towards the suffering into mental states which lead us away from suffering. Okay, and whatever leads us away from suffering can be considered important for our well-being, our spiritual well-being. And talking about the spiritual well-being, this word spiritual is somehow strange. You know, it is understood variously in various contexts. You know, in a monotheistic religion, it has a certain meaning. In Buddhism, we are using it, but I think we should be clear about its meaning. And when we are saying spiritual, I think that the best way to understand that is as cultivation of the mind. You know, the spirituality is the process of cultivation of the mind. If we cultivate our mind, that's something which we could call spiritual. Although in Buddhism as well as in Chan, there is no this division between spiritual and the worldly. You know, we don't We don't enter into that kind of dualism. That's why there is a saying that in Chan that practice is our daily life. Whatever we are doing in daily life is our practice. And our daily life is practice, okay? Because we don't make this division between the two. Anyway, if we are talking about spiritual well-being, and if we understand that as a mental cultivation or cultivation of our mind, there are two important aspects present there. The first one is right views. You know, that is usually the first and very important step, that we inform us about what are the right views in Buddhism. That is like clearing the territory, how to say, okay? Knowing what the right views are is helping us to see the world with the different eyes. You know, understand the world and ourselves in the world with the different eyes. And right views in Buddhism are considered the views which are the correct description of reality in which we live. Okay, so this is what is considered right views. You know, the views which describes reality as it truly is. So only this is considered to be the right views. And what are those views in Buddhism? This is impermanence. This is non-self or selflessness, and emptiness. These three are like a description of reality. Impermanence is something which we can almost immediately recognize and understand intellectually, not always experientially, but intellectually we can sense that, we can feel that, okay? No self and emptiness are the deeper layers of reality, which we can discover if we contemplate the impermanence long enough or close enough. Okay, but they are there, and we will be able to see them and experience them if we continue, because they are the very nature of reality. So if we contemplate reality in a right way, that's what we will find out. And that's why these are considered to be the right views. So there is a difference here between the views and reality, of course. That's why I said views are description, but a true description. And reality is what views are describing, but what we have to experience directly in order to know for ourselves. Okay? And this knowing, this direct knowing, this experiential understanding of reality is liberating. It is liberating. It's not that we are doing that for the sake of satisfying our curiosity, you know, or simply we have this investigating spirit, or how can I say it? So we are very curious, and therefore we engaged into this kind of investigation. No, you know, we do that because discovering the true nature of reality liberate us from our suffering. You know, it liberates us from the imprisonment of wrong views, due to which we experience life as suffering. Is that clear? So what are the wrong views? The wrong views, or sometimes called upside down views, because they are completely upside down from what is considered to be the right views. And what are they? They are, first, seeing happiness in what is suffering. Okay, seeing happiness in what is suffering. Or maybe that's second. The first, usually, it goes in that order, is seeing the permanent in what is impermanent. Okay, that's why upside down, completely upside down. When we see permanence where there is no permanence, when there is only impermanence. So that's the view which is completely opposite to reality. Okay, so the second one is like seeing happiness when there is suffering, and then seeing the purity where there is impurity, and seeing self when there is no self. Okay, so these are like four wrong views, and we are actually prisoners of these four wrong views. You know, why I said prisoners? Because having these views creates opposition between us and reality. You know, having these views means that we are in conflict with reality, because reality is completely opposite from that. And therefore we are all the time in conflict. And the result of that conflict is suffering. You know, acting on the basis of these views is something which always results in disappointments. And therefore suffering, you know. So having the right views in that sense is something which describes very clearly our human position in the world. And we can see what are the causes of our suffering. We can see what is it that we are seeing wrong, or what is it that we are thinking wrong about ourselves and the world. And that is very important. That's why I said that earlier, that it is like clearing the ground, okay? Having this intellectual understanding of ourselves and the world and why suffering is arising and how suffering can cease is very important. Is very important. And the next step, because that's not enough. You know, that's not enough. That's just intellectual understanding. It can help us lessen a little bit our attachments. It can give us a new perspective, direction in life. It can be very, very helpful. But you know, the views and experience of that which views are representing is like two different things. Therefore, the second very important step or second aspect of spirituality and the well-being is actually cultivation of the mind, is meditation methods which we use. You know, by using these methods and by being guided by those right views, we are actually heading in a right direction where we can experience directly the nature of reality, our own nature. and in that way, by letting go of attachments, by letting go of wrong views, and by seeing the reality as it is, we liberate ourselves from suffering. So this is ultimate well-being. This is ultimate well-being. But in the context of practice, I think it's very important to understand that I said earlier that spirituality we could see as a cultivation of the mind. But the cultivation of the mind we can understand as the process in which we liberate ourselves from self-centricity, from egocentricity. Okay? And as we are practicing, as we are in that process, this letting go of self-centricity is manifested as an open mind, as a mind which becomes more and more open, as it is directly related to egocentricity. The lessening of egocentricity, this openness, it actually means that how can I say it? It actually means that in the process there is less and less. We are less and less worrying about ourselves. We are less and less obsessed with ourselves. We are more in peace with ourselves. Okay, we have a more and more stability, inner stability. We are closer and closer to that mental harmony by following that process. Okay, but this opening of the mind is also connected, and that's also something which is in relation to egocentricity, and that is positive emotions. You know, we experience positive emotions. So usually the four of them are mentioned because they are most important. And this is loving kindness, friendliness. Okay, as mind opens, we become much more aware of others than of ourselves, in a sense. And then arises knowing ourselves, knowing the results of egocentricity, which we are letting go slowly now. We know what other people are going through, and therefore, what we feel towards them is loving kindness, you know, and friendliness, and then compassion. Okay, compassion is knowing what others feel and wanting to liberate them from suffering. That's the meaning of compassion. Okay, and joy. You know, another very important positive emotion is joy, which is not just us being joyful. It is being able to rejoice in the successes of others. That's very, very important. You know, how much greater the joy is when it's not just connected with how we feel with ourselves, but whenever somebody is successful or something good is happening with other people, we are fully rejoicing them as it is happening to us. You know, can you imagine extent of joy when you are able to do that? And what is usual people's reaction on the other people's success? Envy, envy, jealousy, you know, hatred. I was the one who's supposed to have that or experience that or be acknowledged and so on. You see, so the joy is very, very, very important, and of course equanimity, ability to not take sides, ability not to take sides, ability to experience, pleasant and unpleasant without grasping and rejecting. That's equanimity, the stability, the calmness of the mind. It's also considered positive emotion, actually. All positive emotions are related to open mind. And open mind is always related to lessening of egocentricity. And that's spirituality. And experiencing this positive emotion is well-being, spiritual well-being. Okay. I think I will end my talk here. Okay, thank you so much for listening carefully.